What is up, guys? Church of God here, back with another video. Today I wanted to talk about a transgender. Can a male be a female? Guys, I want to start off with the physical, human aspect. A male, a real male, cannot give birth. So if a female becomes a male, you can't become a male just by adding private parts or removing private parts. A male, he has private parts. You can't just remove it and become a female. You can't just start growing your hair out, shaving. Male people, boys, male people cannot give birth. So a real male cannot give birth. If a female becomes a male, she can still give birth. You're not a male because you can give birth. It doesn't matter if you just take out your uterus or womb. It doesn't matter what you do. You're still a male or a female, whatever you grew up with. Your feelings are momentarily. Oh, I feel like a male. Oh, I feel like a female. That is, you can't just go on and change what the Bible says. In Genesis 1:27, if I remember correctly, we are made in God's image, is what the Bible says. We're wonderfully and fearfully made, which is what Psalms 139:13 says. Those two verses prove that when we go against what God made us, He planned out our lives. We're not our own creators. Kids especially should not be able to just go and get surgery to change their gender. And there's only two genders. You're non-binary. What are you? A animal? Even though even animals have genders, they don't have a choice. Who's gonna be calling them they, them? They who? Who's they? Who them? There's only one of you. If you have a you know what as a guy, you're a male. Remove that, still a male. If you cannot give birth, you're a male. If you don't have you know what and you can give birth, you're a female. Doesn't matter what you do to stop that. Until you're able to change your chromosome from XX and XY, you can't change who you are. Guys, the Bible says we're made in God's image. We're made wonderfully and fearfully made. God made us who we are. We are chosen by God to be who we are. We can't just go, oh, I want to be this, I want to be that. That's like you're disagreeing with God saying, He made a mistake making you this gender. At the end, it's not up to you. Plus, how are you gonna contribute to society? How are you gonna have your seed live on? How are you gonna provide children? A guy married a transgender girl who became a guy married to a different girl? How are they gonna reproduce? If they're both females and one is just pretending to be a male, how are you gonna provide to society? I'm not saying, oh yeah, everybody's condemned, because at the end, God could provide forgiveness if you ask for it. The Bible does say, love the sinner, hate the sin. But guys, even parents allowing their kids to choose their own gender, this world has gone insane, guys. There's only two genders and you cannot change who you are. It's physically impossible. And I don't care if you're they, them, if you look like a guy, well, again, that's why people go transgender and they start changing how they look. But if you go by they, them, I'll choose what to call you, a he or a she. You ain't no telling me, oh, it's they, not he. If you're they, them, non-binary, that means I should be able to call you whatever you want. And since you want to go against God's opinion and how He made you, I should be able to disagree with you and call you who you want to be. who I should be able to disagree and call you the opposite of what you want to be. But this is not me condemning anyone. Y'all do y'all. You all do yourself. You do you. Because at the end, it's up to God. If you don't find God and you're still part of the world, it's only one place you could go. God doesn't. The Bible doesn't really talk about transgenders that much, except these two parts that I could find, because back then people weren't as confused as they are now. Oh, back then they didn't even have surgeries. They didn't even have anesthesia or all that. They didn't even know what transgender people are. They lived a whole completely different life. But I'm pretty sure if that was a thing back then, God would have condemned it. If we go against what God made us, oh, I feel like I'm not in my own body. Who created you? Did you make yourself? Did you just appear out of nowhere? Or did you just decide, oh yeah, I want to be a human, let me become this. Oops, wrong gender, I'm gonna switch. No, God created you. You're disagreeing with God. You can't just go ahead and just disagree and appear that you're gonna be accepted. And no, I'm not hating at anyone. Like I said, hate the sin, love the sinner. But guys, children especially are confused. If you're an adult and you're trying to become trans, I've lost all hope for you. Until you could find salvation, all we could do is just plant the seed and let God take the rest. These two verses, Genesis 1:27, literally talks about God's image. We are made in His likening. We are wonderfully and fearfully made in God's eyes. And yes, male and female are all made wonderfully in God's eyes. But we are originally. It doesn't say, oh, you're made wonderful in His eyes after you switch your gender. The Bible doesn't even. It says He made us in the womb. He knew us before we existed. Then we were perfectly made. We are wonderfully and perfectly, fearfully made, with no blemish in His eyes. Our feelings at the end don't matter. It's either hell or heaven. I'm not hating on anybody. I'm just saying that trans is a wrong way to look at it. You can't just go by your feelings. Your feelings say, oh, suicide? Let me go kill myself. Life is already limited. You can't just be living by your feelings. The Bible says, live by the Spirit, not by your feelings. Not like, oh, I feel like jumping off a cliff for fun. Let me jump off. Oh, I don't feel like I'm in my body. Let me switch. These two verses are the most important you guys need to know. You guys, okay, let me put it this way. Transgender, they pretend to be a different gender. Trans people cannot just pretend to be like, oh, let me take surgery and switch who I am. Let me ask you, where were you made first? Were you originally a male or a female? Okay, female? Okay, you're a female. I don't care if you look like a male or you're trying to pretend to be one. Tell me your chromosome, XX or XY? And I'm not anti-trans, I'm just anti-sin. Like, guys, this world is getting lost. You guys, just seek help. Doctors, it's like abortion. I'm gonna get into that whole different video. Yes, I'm anti-trans, but I'm not gonna exclude you and say, oh no, we can't be friends or blah blah blah. I actually had a teacher who's trans, and I didn't talk about that to them at all. But yeah, guys, you do you. At the end, it's either hell or heaven. You find God or you don't find God. You disagreeing against being made in God's image. You disagreeing against what God made you as. That's on you. I did my part, gave you the seed. I'm not condemning anyone. I'm just putting out these two scriptures. We are made in God's eyes, fearfully and wonderfully made. We switch our gender, we go against God.